Test, test, test. Yeah, I swear every time like I don't like anytime I reboot or whatever, I feel like the default microphone goes to like the default instead of like this microphone, which is like the one I use for streaming. So sweet. Anyway, welcome in guys. Or really just Zane. It's good. If you're not watching CEO, we're gonna do a training session today. So we have Zanybolone. Zanybolone, maybe. Let's bring him on. Hey, can you hear me? Hello?
Oh, my bad. I was muted. Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. So what is it? Zanybolone? Zanybolone? How do you pronounce your gamer tag there?
Yeah, Zanybolone, but you can just call me Zany for real.
All right, Zany's good. All right, man.
Yeah.
So welcome on. Thanks for coming on. So tell me a little about what's been going on in your game. You said you want to improve with Ken. I know you hit master recently as well, right? So tell me
Yeah.
a little bit about what's been going on for you.
Okay, so basically, my background for fighting games, or mainly Street Fighter, is I used to play it heavily back when it first dropped. Wasn't that good. I locked in back in what was it, like 2024. I hit master rank for the first time. Then I stopped playing again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I've been really on and off with the game, and I finally got back to being on, and I decided to pick up Ken.
Okay.
But all my fundamentals and stuff like that out the window.
All right.
It's like I'm washed.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. Because it's like you play, and then all of a sudden you stop playing, and then you come back, and then it feels like it's really not like riding a bike. You know what I mean? Like some things
Yeah, it
are still
feels it
there,
feels
but
worse
not.
than when you first pick up the game
Yeah.
because you know
Yeah.
you used to be good.
Yeah. You know, you used to know things, not so much. All right. Cool. All right. Cool. So, what we'll do, for this, I don't know if you've seen this before, but what we'll do is we'll run a set, run a first to three.
Hmm.
Kind of get a sense of like where you're at, what's going on with you, and all that stuff. You mentioned you're kind of just picking up Ken back up, so let's kind of get an evaluation of what's going on. After that
Hmm.
set, we'll do a little replay review. So we'll take a look at one of our games as well as one of the games you sent me some replays, right? So we'll take a look at one of those games. And then after that, if there's anything in particular we want to look at, we'll hop into the lab.
Hmm.
And see if there's like a specific situation we want to dive into, we can do that. And then afterwards, if there's time, we can run another first to three, run it back, see if anything I've said helps you at all. Sound good to
Okay.
you?
Yeah, that sounds fine.
All right, cool. So let me get a room. I think I misspelled that. All right, so I sent the invite and for the custom room. You should see it.
Okay, I'm launching my game.
All right, cool. So go ahead and hop in any slot when you're ready. I'll join you there. I generally tend to mute on Discord or turn my audio off. Like I'll deafen in Discord just so I don't
Hmm.
influence anything you're doing. I do tend to talk a lot during this because I'm streaming this right now. So if you look
Yeah.
back on it later, you'll see what I'm thinking. Also, the timer may run down to like 1 or 2. Don't worry, I'm still here. Just as I articulate what I'm seeing and talking about and thinking, I'll put that in there. So with all that said,
Okay.
good luck. All right, Zane. Yeah, first to 100, bro, dude. You gotta come to California first. We can do it in person. First 100 on with the internet connection we have sometimes doesn't sound great. As Zane, I played them once. I think we played a set a while back. They weren't in master at the time, so we'll see what's cooking. Okay. All right. Okay. So far, are you actually coming to Cali? That's yeah. So what I'm seeing so far is they're a little uncomfortable and neutral, I guess, if I'm playing this kind of grounded neutral game. Oh, nice. where I'm not really doing it a lot. Uh-oh. Oh, very nice. One sec, guys.
Wow, I fell over. I fell down.
Yeah.
I fell down over.
Uh-oh. I think the game froze.
The toe. There got the toe. There got toe. This one's got the toe. This one's got a shoe. This is our fighting. There was like our powers.
Yeah.
Oh, you can see his feet. Green, orange, blue, and
Yeah.
They're all fighting.
Yeah, they are, sweetie.
They're all fighting.
Alright, otherwise, some issues with the anti-airing, right? Not an optimal combat there, but whatever. Okay, so what I'm noticing so far is there's a little bit of lack of anti-airs, right? I was able to cross them up a couple of times. Some of the neutral decisions, like they're just kind of pressing in some situations where they probably shouldn't be. Like they did some step kick stuff. There was some Jinrai stuff that was not correct. Like they whiffed it. Oh, nice. Alright, didn't need to side switch there. That's for parry. I mean, I know some of the buffs. Yeah, it could be. There's some changes, right? So that maybe to like the GRC route. Nice.
Look, look at right a picture. You, Daddy. Picture of you.
Mm-hmm.
Picture of you. I'm moving a tail.
Oh, that was nice.
Want to see the egg? That one that took my egg.
Yeah, sometimes you can match against the stand heavy punch because oh, matching something there.
That one took my egg.
Yeah, that's not safe.
Not saying no funny.
Doesn't really attack, huh?
She's got
Okay.
a toe.
So, again, what I'm seeing so far right now, it really comes down to just some unfamiliarity in neutral, right? I'm not really playing like a very aggressive Ken. So if I'm just trying to take up space, the space is a little better on my part, right? So that's kind of why what's happening is happening. There's also some situations, again, where like that, right? Oops.
Daddy,
That's a mistake.
I am moving in the chair.
Matching something there. Oh, nice.
You see the egg?
Oh, that was nice.
Want to open it?
Yeah, so there it's really just like they burned out, right? And that kind of made that tough to get out of the situation they were in.
Daddy, want to open the egg? Open the egg. Open. I'm gonna use the little one.
Yeah, like that, right? The whiff Jin right there.
Look, I got a present. Look, it's a present of an egg.
Okay, so I think I have an idea what's been going on for them. I need to take care of something real quick, guys, in case you haven't noticed. So I'll be right back. One sec. Let's bring it back on. Hey, Zany. I just need 1 second here and we can chat again. My kid woke up, so just give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Daddy. Daddy.
Yeah, I can hear you. I think that I was getting fried. Absolutely. I had one good round though. I'll take that round. Absolute win for me.
So, basically, what was happening really was that I think there's some, uh, maybe not like you haven't played a ton of players that don't just throw themselves at you, right? So, like, what I
Hmm.
was doing was I was kind of standing at a spacing that made it a little awkward for you to kind of press buttons. And if you whiff, that
Yeah.
kind of punished you, right? So, like, I whiff punished the stand heavy punch whiffs and those types of things. And
Hmm.
then once that started happening, you hesitated a little bit, and that allowed me to kind of walk forward, right, in neutral. Other
Hmm.
than that, though, I thought you were doing fine. There were some of the Jinrai stuff you were doing where it was whiffing on the crouching, like you'd hit
Yeah, I
me.
meant to.
Yeah.
I meant to do the what's it called? The light kick. I kept.
Hmm.
No, not even light kick. I meant to like what's it called? Like drive rush cancel because I have like my drive rush button
Hmm.
like right near where my heavy kick is.
Hmm.
So I was gonna like drive rush cancel after the heavy kick,
Hmm.
but I accidentally did like heavy Genrai.
Yeah. and
Yeah, it was like
and yeah,
it was annoying me.
yeah, and that can happen, right? Like that is what it is. I do think that if you were to go into some of those, the using Jinrai pressure for Ken is pretty strong though, right? Like being able to do
Hmm.
that. So if you do end up going into a hit, just make sure that you confirm it into like confirm that they're crouching or standing before you send the heavy. But otherwise, I
Hmm.
thought there was some good stuff. One other thing I did notice was that you did kind of struggle when I jumped at you. So anti-air stuff if I
Yeah.
crossed you up or anything like
Uh-huh.
that. Yeah. So. Yeah, okay, cool. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen in Discord, and then we can hop into a replay. Just give me a sec here. All right, and then let me just open up a replay. Let's take a look at game, I think game 2, which one we have around. Yeah, let's take, where you did where we're active. Let's see. This one's probably the one. Around here. I think this one's probably the one. Okay, let's take a look at this one.
Hmm. For some reason on Discord my screen is black.
It's black. Give it a sec here.
Yeah. It says like I've been disconnected.
Oh, let's see. 1 sec. There. Do you see it now?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know what that was. It just said, I guess something happened in Discord, whatever. Not sure. All right, cool. So this was game 2 of our set here. So I'm gonna let this play out until something interesting happens, and we can talk about it.
Okay.
All right. So this was good right here. So this spacing for this stand heavy kick, I like it. Right. So you can see like you hit me at the tip here. I can't really punish you. I tried. Right. I sent a stand heavy kick here while I was late on it. But I wouldn't have been able to really punish you from this distance, right? So that was good spacing on the stand heavy kick. It's kind of important to Ken's game to make sure that you don't whiff. I mean, it's important to everyone's game, really, but like Ken in particular, since all his buttons are minus, being able to space these correctly is kind of paramount to playing him well, and this was just a good example of that, right? So it's good stuff. Right? That whiff punish is pretty dope right here. So if we look, I whiff, right? I do the exact thing I tell you not to do, right? And then you just send heavy punch and I die for it, right? So like clearly this is well within reactable range, right? I whiff, right? I take the punish here. It's all good. Could have spent some resources here. I'm not too worried about that. The point is you got to punish though, right? So that's good. Yeah. So here, this is game 2, right? So I kind of noticed you weren't really anti-airing me as much, right? So, or maybe there were some situations where I was able to kind of jump in like a cross-up or whatever. Parry is okay. This is an okay option. It's just that when people notice you using parry as an anti-air, you'll get empty jump.
Like empty jumps.
Yeah. Right. So here it's totally fine. Right. In fact, I probably could have just, well, it's counter hit, but that's totally fine. Right. Right. I reversal you here is what it is. What I will say though is that I think for options wise, meaty here, stand light kick's not the best button for that, right? Because even if you get hit here, it doesn't really lead to anything, right? Like if I mashed at this point here, you would likely, like, even if I got counter hit by the stand light kick, it doesn't really lead to much, right? In that sense. So what I will say is that from here, after you land that run Tatsu, you may want to spend some time looking at like your setups, right? So like whatever.
Yeah, I meant to do though. I usually do like after run Tatsu, it's like light punch for the frame kill into the run overhead.
Okay, and they just didn't come
or
out
like
that
the
time.
run stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my brain just like turned off.
Okay. Yeah, that's a strong one, right? Because you get the run overhead. It's a meaty overhead. If you land it, you can do a run stop into like a low. You can run stop into a throw, right? You can jab. Like there's a lot of options that come out of that. So that's actually pretty good. It's like one of the Ken's like very first Okies that came out of that, and it's been, everyone uses that, right? So I think I used it at some point against you, right? So anyway, just make sure that those are clean, right? That becomes really important as you climb up in master, because if you're able to enforce your knockdowns and stuff, you'll go a lot further, right? You'll be able to keep pressure, keep people in the corner, that type of thing. So that all said, it would have blown you up anyway with a reversal if you went for some sort of meaty strike or meaty throw, is what it is. Yeah, that's how it goes. Right, so that was good. All right, so I noticed you do this string a lot, which is a jab into like a crouching medium kick. Right, this guy. So I wasn't able to tag you here with this, in this scenario here. You can see I'm actually late on my press. But there is something here where if people notice you doing this and they start mashing against this can get blown up, right? I didn't quite do it here. But if I were to have been on time, right? Right, I am able to stop your crouching medium kick from coming out, right? And it's a little bit tough because, well, for me anyway, like I could do something like that, right? If I'm ready for it, I have to kind of commit, but if I'm ready for it, or I could do something like this, right? Just drive rush, right? Not that, right? So you just have to be careful if people notice you doing kind of a turn steely string like that, where it's like a jab, a minus button into a bigger button like that. You may get mashed on, right? Like I could, if I was on time in my mash here, it would have beaten your crouching medium kick, right? So just be careful there. I think a lot of people don't really recognize that. They'll just continue blocking it out, so you'd be able to get away with that string a lot. It's just I'm just pointing it out now because if you are reliant on that to open up your offense, people will start mashing on you, and then you'll get blown up for it, right? So and I tried it, but I was late, right? So you can see here I should have been pressing, and I don't, right? And you can see like this button, and I showed it a second ago, right? This button would have beaten this coming out if I was on time, right? So just gotta be careful there. Again, if people aren't dealing with it, keep doing it, but just try not to autopilot this because you can get blown up. But it worked here, so take the damage here. Combo selection wise, there was a change to Ken recently. I don't know if you're doing any run stop combos at all. I don't think I saw you do them.
I have not learned any run stop combos yet.
Okay, fair enough, right? And you don't really need them in particular, although maybe now you kind of do because his optimal drive rush cancel combos off of this require that now. So it is something you kind of look into. That said, the combo you did here is totally fine, right? You're not really losing any damage routing this way well, you're losing some damage, right? So if I take the same combo here and it does like 20 something, right? 2205. Right. but if you do the optimal, so we saw 2205, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's 2395 there. If I do the same combo, right, the optimal one should be something like, right, 2518, right? So there's a couple hundred damage living on the table here, right? It can add up in the long run. It also kind of changes your Oki situation, like the Oki situation after. What you chose to do here was you went into like a Dragon Lash, right? So, and strategy-wise, generally you want to keep me in the corner here. So you probably want to end and run DP going the other way if you can. After target combo, if that's what you want to do, that's totally fine. Side switch here is a little bit tough. I think it's gonna give me the ability to come back, right? So if you look at the situation right now, I'm down to like maybe 1 mix-up away, right? 2 mix-ups away. I don't have that much health, basically, right? You should be able to kill me with the next interaction, essentially, if you cash out. You have a ton of health here, right? So keeping me in the corner is more important. Now, if you autopilot into this, I get it. Like, that's what happens. But when you talk about combo routing, and this is going to become more important for you as you climb and master, is that you do want to make sure that you route into combos that give you advantage to some capacity, right? Normally, positional advantage is what you want to kind of prioritize as Ken, because he deals less damage overall. But with some of the changes to his routing, he deals okay damage, right? So you could have gone into a combo that keeps me in the corner and deals damage, right? So we saw like the 2 examples I showed you, they did more damage than this side switch, and kept me in the corner, right? So you don't have to learn run stop just yet if you don't want to. I think it's totally fine to not use that for now if that's something I'm not comfortable with or whatever. But you will need to learn that eventually, I think. If you want to main Ken and continue playing him, it might be something you'll have to look into at some point.
Yeah, I'm in the process of like trying to learn some run stop.
Just takes time. Right. Nice. So if we look at
I meant to do the what's it called?
The D-Rev?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to do a full on drive impact.
Yeah. That happens to a lot of people because it's like you're not quite, like you weren't in block stun and weren't quite in wake up either. So if you do want to commit to a D-Rev here, you could hold it the whole time. So from right here, right? If I take your here, and I'm just going to hold the input for it. Right? Like the whole, I can hold it as soon as I'm knocked down. As soon as I'm kind of getting knocked down, I can hold it, right? So if you're committed to a D-Rev, like in a situation like, say, maybe not this one, but say you are in the corner and you want a D-Rev or something like that, that's how I would input it, right? Just to make sure that it comes out. Because a lot of folks try to time that and get a wake up DI and they get killed for it, right? Because like someone will go for a meaty, it's a cancelable button, they press it, they see the DI, the counter DI, and then you die, right? Because you accidentally got DI. So if you are committed to D-Rev, just hold forward in the DI and heavy punch, heavy kick inputs, right? Just hold it the whole time you're knocked down and it comes out, right? So because that would have came out there, right? You saw me do that here, right? Where I'm just holding it the whole time. You see my input there on the top left, it just comes out. Right? So small tip. You see, I tried to react. I guess I'm too old for that, but I tried. Right. So going for parry there. So I will say that like this is kind of a how do I say this? It's kind of a weird thing for Ken here. Like he's minus, right? So you can see you're +2 here. So there's not really a compelling reason for you to go for parry in this situation.
I could have mashed out of it?
Yeah, you can mash out of this, right? So for Ken's Jinrai in particular, right, the heavy specifically here is what we're talking about. So I did this. So after this happens, right, Ken can go into one of kind of 4 options, right? One of them's not really an option, like he can do the heavy, but that whiffs on crouching, right? And it's really more of a confirm. So if people don't really do heavy in this situation. You can do the overhead, and there's a gap there, right? If you do the overhead here, if you mash out of that, you'll hit me. But the low is actually a block string from the heavy Jinrai. So if you're +2 here in this situation, even if I go for the low, if you start mashing here, your button won't come out because it's a true block string, right? So then you end up blocking the low, and then it ends up being +5 in your favor, and you can get a punish if I'm too close. Right, so from that situation here, if you block a heavy Jinrai, you don't necessarily need to parry. You can actually mash against this in most cases, right? Because even if I do the nothing, which is what I did here, right? I walk up and throw you. Right? If I start mashing from this situation here. Oop, not that. One block first. Right? It stops your walk up. Or stops my walk up. Right? Because it spaces me out a little bit, right? So really this is more of a knowledge check type thing. You generally don't need to parry when you're plus, right? Most of the time. Now there are people that will just send a like they'll do a minus button like that, and then they'll just rip an EXDP after that, right? And that I can totally understand why you may want to parry there, but you don't need to, right? Because you can just block. There's not really a compelling reason for you to parry, because if you pair, like choosing to parry in that situation, like what is it actually beating? And it's not beating a whole lot, right? In that scenario, because like what can you actually parry? You can't actually parry the low here, because even if I go into the low, here, right? So you try to parry against that, and the parry won't come out because you're in a block string, right? So you can't even really parry against that. If I do the overhead, right, you'll parry that, but again, it's not really gaining you anything unless you go for perfect parry. Then maybe, right? But if you consider like the options that your opponent is bringing to the table with a heavy Jinrai, parry there is really only going to beat one of those three options, right? It'll lose really hard to the other option though, right? And then the other one, it ends up kind of even.
Yeah.
So again, it's kind of more of a general thing, is that if you are plus, you generally don't need to parry, right? You can just continue if you don't want to take an action, you can just continue blocking, right? If you're so compelled to do, like if you think they're going to rip an EXTP behind this, right? Like you can just continue blocking. Eat the drive chip damage, but you won't get counter hit thrown, right? Because then if you had gone for a block there and see me walking up, maybe you tech the throw, or maybe something else, or maybe you check the walk up or whatever, right? So just be careful about parrying that situation. If you and again, you have to also recognize that it was the heavy Jinrai. Like if I did the medium there, then parry does make some sense because it does beat a couple of different options there. So if you were going for that, then I get it. It was an attempt to beat that. But in this situation, since it was a heavy, you have to consider that parry is not an option you necessarily need to do, because it doesn't beat the common a lot more common options than just blocking, if that makes sense. So, oops, shit. Oops. All right. So anyway, yeah, that's just a decision-making thing. I think it's just recognition of the heavy Jinrai, right? So all good. I'll get through.
Yeah, whenever I'm playing, the reason I go for the parry, or like I went for it, is because one, people do that against me whenever I do like my Jinrai, but I always do medium. So like, when I recognize that they do the parry, right?
Yeah.
That's when I throw out the what's it called? Like the first part of Jinrai, don't do a follow up, walk up throw.
Yeah, walk up throw. Yeah. Yeah. Basically what I did here, right?
Yeah,
the
what you did
again,
here,
yeah.
Yeah, you were just heavy, and like
Yeah.
I didn't, what's it called?
Yeah.
Did not expect that.
Didn't recognize that, right? And the only reason I did the heavy here was because I did a drive rush stand heavy punch, right? So this, if you were to press here against this is a frame trap now, right? So if I take you here, and normally against like a stand heavy punch, I did this to you actually. You can mash against Ken's stand heavy punch, and if you cancel into like the Jinrai, it'll interrupt you, right? You'll actually get you'll get counter hit. But here, because I did drive rush, the stand heavy punch is plus enough where the heavy Jinrai is now a frame trap, right? So if I mash from this situation, right? So if I just block, right? But if I mash, right, you'll get counter hit here, right? And then I get a follow up with like a sweep or like a EX Tatsu or something like that, right? If I wanted to. So good on you not pressing there, right? So it's good. But yeah, that's the reason I went into heavy here, is because it allows me to frame trap you, and I get the heavy situation right here, right? So this is actually safe in terms of like you can't punish me, because if I do the medium, I'm -7, right? And that's punishable. So this allows me to stay safe in that way, and I can kind of see what you want to do afterwards, right? Even though I'm -2, I get a chance to see what your defensive option is, right? In this case, you went for parry, so then I just walk up and throw you, right? So. It's a good decision to reversal, I think, as a way to get out. The thing I would challenge you here, though, is that if you look at your meter situation before you reversaled here, you're a little bit low on drive, right? So a EXDP here is going to put you into burnout, right? Which is what happens. So in that situation here, if you're committed to a reversal, you could potentially
Mhm.
level 1 me here, right? And that will keep the meter, and you may actually kill me in this scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oop. Right. So in that situation where you're low on meter, or low on drive rather, and you are wanting to reversal and you have super to burn or you have super available, give that consider using that option, right? Because burning out. So I mean, here in this situation, you actually win the game, right? If you reversal with level 1 here, you win the game, right? And you had committed to reversal already, so ideally you would have won with that, right? Because obviously it does more damage and all that stuff. Also, again with Ken's super in particular, you get a side switch, right? So you get a better advantage overall, anyway, right? That said, you go for this instead, which burns you out, right? Now you're in a really commanding position in terms of health, right? If you get a straight hit on me, I'm dead. But I have drive and I have super. Well, super is kind of relevant now because you only have one one interaction left. But I have more meter than you here, right? So there's a chance I can come back from this, especially because Ken doesn't get Oki anymore after ODDP, so you can't continue your pressure, and you especially can't do it after burnout, right? There's like some guys will drive rush after this to try to catch the other guy asleep at the wheel, but you can't do that because you're burned out here, right? So now you're kind of forced to try to navigate this burnout, and we'll see what happens. Right, and then you get DI'd here, right? So this is tough because I just kind of went for it here. If you had a reaction, if you're buffering super here and you're ready for it, that could have been a thing. But you challenged me here, right? You woke up with a jab, and then
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate, right? So if you were ready with a super here, maybe this gets you out of the situation. But that's tough, right? Because if you want to try to buffer super, we're looking for DI, and I just kind of walk up and throw you or whatever, right? Your mental stacked at this point because you're burned out. So this whole situation doesn't happen if you level 1 me. If you level 1 me, you take the round, right? And you build so much super in this game, right? You'll get 5, maybe even 6 bars worth of super through 3 rounds, right? So spending one of them on a level 1 reversal early is not a bad thing, especially if it's going to win you the game, for sure. And in the situation that you were in here, like even if that super wasn't going to kill me, a level 1 here would have been better, right? Let's if I had more health, you level 1 me and I'm still alive. The difference now is that you would have had like 2.5 bars to work with overall, and you're out of the corner, right? And meter wise, super takes away about half of my bar, right? So we'll be closer in meter economy, if you will, and you have a better position, right? So that's really just a decision making thing. Again, it's really, and that's really mostly dictated by, well, one, if you look at you have to look at all the meters, right? How much health do I have left? How much meter do you have left? How much super do you have, right? That's one part. And then the other part is that you have decided to reversal already anyway, right? So if you think you can kill me with that, because like if you think about it, right, if you reversal here and I block it, you're dead, right? I can kill you with the resources I have here, right? So it's still different than if you supered me here in terms of like the risk part. But the reward here is that if you're right, if you super me, you win. And even if you reversal here, I'm not dead, unfortunately, right? So this gives me a chance to come back, and that's what ends up happening. So anyway.
Something about me, like I literally never, like wake up DPing is not something I typically do. Like it's not in my character to do that. Even when I probably should, I just never do it.
Yeah.
So me throwing it out there,
yeah.
I was just like a Hail Mary.
And it worked, right? Like he literally would have won you that round if you had done that, right? So it's like you do have to represent the option because you weren't really representing it earlier. So that's why I kind of was continuing to press, even though I could have gotten killed there. Right? I just continued going because I kind of thought you wouldn't do it. And then you did, but it didn't kill me, which was lucky for me, right? But you do have to represent the option every so often, right? Because I did it to you earlier in this round, right? And then it kind of puts it in your head that, oh, Juzzy's willing to reversal, so I need to be wary about my offense on Oki because they may just reversal me, right? Or again, it's you're making an assumption based on the person you're playing, right? Do they like to reversal? Do they not like to reversal? And then you can kind of tailor your offense around that, or you can kind of try to take less risk, right? Like, oh well, they may reversal me here or not. You roll the dice for that, right? So anyway, it's not like people like to think that waking up with an option is scrubby, and it's not, right? It's an option the game presents to you as something you can do. It's just that it loses to a very common thing, which is meaties, right? So if someone meaties you, it won't work. Like you'll lose, right? Like if you wake up with a button, but like reversaling, it's not bad, right? Like you get someone off of you. Like if you're about to die, you can reversal, right? Like because you're gonna lose if you take another throw or whatever. So it is a defensive option you need to represent. Don't select it all the time, but there should be some amount of times where you select a reversal, right? Like if you think your opponent has been getting a little greedy with or extending a little bit, overextending rather, with their media pressure, right? You do have to do it once in a while. Right? And again, you did it here and it was perfect, right? It's a good time for it. So round 2 here. Yeah, so right here, right? This is one where you tried to parry. It was a little bit late, it looks like, right? And a DP would be better here, right? Anti-air would be better. So.
Like in my head, whenever I see someone jump, it happens every time without fail. Like I know that they're gonna jump, like I call it out in my head, and I know I should DP, but my hands just don't move.
Don't do it.
Like, and sometimes my hands do move, and I just throw out a Hadoken, and I feel so stupid.
Oh,
like it's so horrible.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time.
Like it's happened to me so many times in matches, especially against like Yasmin, and I'm just like I'm losing it.
Yeah.
I'm tweaking out.
Yeah, and that's how it goes, right? Like mechanical issues. Like I generally try not to spend too much time on that because that's something you can work on. You need to work on it and all that. So I'll just point it out. But like what you have to do, right, in terms of grinding out the DP inputs and all that stuff. What controller are you on? You're on a pad, lever? I'm
on leverless.
Okay, so it's really just grinding the inputs, right? Making sure that you can input that clean. Potentially looking at SOCD shortcuts to make it easy if that's something you want to look at, right? But whatever way allows you to anti-air me have the anti-air come out consistently is what you want to work through, right? That's really one of the because like even at I'm SS 1570 here, but even at like 1600, 1700, even like 1800 players, they'll jump at you. Right, like jumping again is not a scrubby tactic in particular, especially if you can't anti-air it. Why would they stop jumping, right? So you have to be able to stop them from jumping, and that's something that you'll just have to grind out. And then like it's through everywhere, right? The whole spectrum of like master, diamond, platinum, everywhere, everyone jumps like all the time. So you just need to be ready, find a way to be able to consistently anti-air when that situation comes up. So, all right, so I try to whiff punish you here. Spacing, I'll talk a little bit about it here, right? I think you do an okay job here. Like it literally did look like you're probably close enough for a stand heavy punch, right? I didn't think so, but it's pretty close, right? Like Ken's hitbox ends
like
about
one
here.
Step forward.
Yeah, if I had walked forward a little bit, right? So if I walk forward into this and try to press a button, he may clip me, right? Actually, it looks like, yeah. So if I'm crouching here, it'll hit, but it whiffs because I move back a little bit, right? So again, this is really just something you'll need to get better at, is recognizing the spacing where the stand heavy punch will reach and practicing that. I just wanted to point it out here because I thought it was pretty close, and it was an okay job on your part to go for it there, but it does whiff, unfortunately. And then unfortunate for me is I missed my whiff punish, right? So if you look, I tried to whiff punish this. There's your button, and there's my button, right, coming out, and it doesn't quite reach, right? It whiffs here, and again, this is really just like recognition on my part of the whiff, and then going for a button here. Unfortunately, it's here, but this is just something you'll have to do more of. Is like, how do I press my better pokes and not have them whiff in that way, right? If it's on block on hit, like that's totally fine. Even if I block it, it's fine. But if you whiff it, that can lead to a lot of damage for you, right? You can take a lot of damage from it, right? So
it's worse to whiff than to have it blocked.
100%, right? Because like if I block a stand heavy punch, what happens, right? So if I block stand heavy punch, I take half a drive bar, right, of damage, or drive bar damage because it's blocked. You're -2, so I'm only +2 here, right? So you're safe. Like I can't punish you for that, for hitting me. And if you land it on a tipper range here, so if you actually landed this where it would, I think this is too late. If you had actually landed this where, like it was at the tip, I can't even really take my turn back, right? Like if I try to press a crouching medium punch, it will whiff. If I try to take my turn back with a crouching medium kick, it might whiff, right? So I'm now compelled to not press, or I could potentially get space trapped, right? So all of these things are good things for you just because you space the stand heavy punch correctly, right? Like, well, I mean, it doesn't have to be like at the tipper, but the closer you are to the tip of this range, the better, right? The closer you are to this range here, the better for you, right? And alternatively, if you whiff, right, I could get a whiff punish, right? A medium whiff punish here would, for against Ken, would put you in the corner, right? If I did a crouching medium kick and it landed, you're in the corner now, right? Drivers cancel, run Tatsu, cornered, right? Against someone like an Ed or a Ryu, you take like 3 billion damage, right? Like they'll do like a shitload of damage for that whiff punish, right?
Yeah, the round's just over.
Yeah, right? Like you'll take 3K, 4K, whatever, depending on how much they want to spend. And they get an Oki situation after, potentially. And now you have to guess again. And then, the round can get away from you like that, right? So, but yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It is 100% better to land your button on block than it is to whiff it, right? Even for like stuff like stand heavy kick and stand medium kick, right? So like those are -5 buttons for Ken. They're punishable if you're too close, right? So you're even more kind of compelled to space those correctly. And even if you block it, or even if it's on block, and they can't punish it, perfect. Even if they can't punish it, it's a 5-frame punish versus like a medium button or heavy button punish that's a whiff punish, right? So a punish counter 5-framer for Ken in particular usually ends up just being like stand light kick into something. Most characters can't really deal a ton of damage with a 5-frame starter, right? Most characters, some can, but most can't, right? Versus taking a heavy button, right? Like if I go for a heavy button here instead, so if I take this 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I think it's 17. So this is like 18-ish frames after your button. So this would be like a reasonable reaction time. Right? Like you're going to take a lot of damage from this. Right? If I whiff punish that, right? With a heavy instead of that medium. So like, again, you're totally right, is that you just have to watch out, try not to whiff. Don't whiff. That's really what it comes down to. So anyway, nothing really happens there, so it's okay. And now this was good, right? So I whiff my button.
I probably could have, what's it called? Can't you like drive rush, run DP off of that?
Yeah, you can. So common follow-ups from here, it would be like you can do meterless would be like a run DP, right? By like a raw run DP or run Dragon Lash would work, right? You can also do a drive rush stand heavy punch, right? And that will allow you to get into any run ender you want. So what I see most people do, and again, it just depends on how much you want to spend and all that situation wise. We're mid screen here, so if I landed this, I would try to go for some sort of corner carry option. So it looks something like this. Right, something like that would probably be what I would do. There's also other sauce that's out there for this now because of some of the buffs to OD Jinrai. So a common one you'll see is this as well. Right, that normally will pick up. There's like a window for it to pick it up. You'll see that one a lot too from guys. But normally spending the drive here, spending 1 bar, especially since you have so much meter, makes a lot of sense for consistency, right? If you do not want to spend meter, you do this, right? Right, that's also a pickup, a meterless one. And then because you did a driver stand heavy punch on the pickup, like for the juggle, you can get into like run Dragon Lash and all that other stuff, so you can side switch and some other things if you wanted to, right? The thing though is that the stand heavy kick punish counter starter does have some pretty heavy scaling, right? So if you look at this, well, it doesn't show it here, but the next button you press here would be scaled extra, right? So I'll show it. Right, so you see how it said 59, sees 59% there. So there's some pretty heavy scaling off of the stand heavy, the stand heavy kick conversion or PC. So you generally want to go into some sort of corner carry option if you can, or you could, if you're closer to the corner, you can go into some damage options that use Jinrai. There are some that exist there, but for what most people do, we'll do some sort of stand heavy punches to run Tatsu to put you in the corner, or stand heavy punch into the OD Jinrai that I was showing you, right? They'll do one of those things. So you just have to look it up or ask me after. I'll send you the combos and stuff. It's not too difficult. It just requires a little bit of practice and like anything else, right? So
all right.
Right. So you see, I did that to you here, right? So I just mashed after I saw the stand heavy punch.
Yeah, accidental heavy Jinra.
Yeah. Right. Stand heavy punch, heavy Jinrai came out, right? Right. And I just kind of hit you, right? It's because if you do a medium here,
Like it's a block string, right? If I do
yeah,
medium.
it's a medium from here, right? You see that my character's mashing, right? So you can see it ended up being a block string in that scenario. So once I saw the stand heavy punch and blocked it, I kind of just jabbed there to see what would happen, and it worked out for me, right? Like I was able to interrupt your heavy Jinrai that you probably weren't intending to do. Because
I never use heavy Jinra. I don't know why that came
it
out.
just came out that time, right? And what's funny too is that you saw it here is that my jab won't come out if you do the medium Jinrai, right? Or if you do a fireball. Oop. Right. So like it's a fairly safe thing for me to do there. You can beat the. I mean, again, this is really just because of the spacing that I blocked the stand heavy punch at, right? So I was close enough for a jab to reach. Now there are. I don't know if like Ken really has any frame trap options from there anymore. He used to before they changed step kick. So you used to be able to do this, right? Where if I jabbed there, you'd be able to you would get a counter hit step kick, right? But because of the buffs to stand heavy kick or to step kick, since it comes out faster, it's now a true block string, right? So if like, and that's basically what I was recognizing was that the Ken's options out of the stand heavy punch there on block that close aren't really that great unless you go into like maybe a drive rush or something, right? But if I block it that close, then I can probably jab you, right? If you look at the spacing that I blocked this at, right? Point blank +2. So because even if you try to press another button here, right, you're minus, so you can't even, if you press a 4-frame, it'll get frame trapped by my, like it'll get interrupted by my jab, right? So you can't really follow up with a button here. If you go into drive rush, my jab won't come out because it'll get eaten by the drive rush freeze, right? Then I can just block or do something else. And if you go into any sort of special that does not have a block string or is not a block string, like the heavy Jinrai, I'll interrupt it. And if you do go into something that is a string, like the fireball that I showed, then my jab won't come out, right? So it's a fairly reasonable option for me to try here, right? In that case, right? Because it doesn't lose to too many things, and it beats specific options, right? Which is why I chose to do that, right? And a lot of that is predicated on the fact that this is too close, right? So like, because I blocked this point blank, this jab is available to me as an option, right? If I had blocked this further away, and my jab would whiff in that, if I were trying to mash it, then it doesn't make sense for me to press, right? Because I'm not close enough for the jab to reach anymore. And then in that case, I wouldn't press it. I wouldn't have mashed against you in this case, right? So this is a case of like, we were talking about spacing earlier where you don't want to whiff. You also don't want to be too close when you press the heavies, right? Because that's what allowed me to do this, right? And beat you in this scenario, so. So wake up parry is not a bad option. It just happened to lose what I picked against what I picked. But this is actually not a bad option. I don't mind this. It just, unfortunately, I threw scissors, you threw paper, right? It's just how it goes.
Yeah, I was expecting like a bigger button.
Yeah,
to come
stand heavy
out.
punch or maybe like a jab or something like that, right? Some sort of something to keep you ground, like keep my pressure going, right? Because you're knocked down.
Yeah.
So again, parry's not a bad option if you're reading that, and it would have been the common options that I come out at, right? But unfortunately, I just went for throw. Right. So here, what happened? Right. Let's take a look. All right. So, hard knockdown on the throw here, right? So you can't back roll. So this forward dash here is +1 for Ken. I press my jab, and it looks like you might have been trying to jab here, and you got caught in the startup of like a button, right? So. Plus a +1 situation like that, that's really just like you can challenge if that makes sense to do so because I can't throw you, right? So if you think I'm gonna go for like a throw, you can press there. But in this case, I went for a jab, and it just happened to counter hit you on the startup, right? So +1 situations, you do kind of have to get a sense of what I like to do, and then you can try to counter that by blocking, parrying, whatever, right? In that case, if it's a meaty strike. One other thing I'll mention here real quick is that if you are going to commit to a mash, and I don't know if that's what they were going for here. Maybe it was a delay button or something like that, which would have worked.
No, it was 100% a mash.
Okay, gotcha. So in that scenario, right, you want to make sure that, like, if you are committed to mash, make sure that it comes out on time, right? So if you look at the frame meter here down here, you are now in, like, you see this the 139 here at the very end. You're now in neutral, right? So you can start pressing buttons here, right? You see there's actually like 3 frames before your button comes out, right? So what should have happened, it should look like this, right? You see how the frame meter kind of shows like there weren't any gaps there. I really wish there was a way I can pause this and not have this menu show up. I can show the replay, but whatever. But you kind of got the idea, right? There was no gap between the time.
Yeah, I just pressed it slightly too late.
Yeah, a little late, right? So yeah, it's really just like, and the reason I say that is because there are situations where like I could go for like a delay option there. So like I'll press a little bit late. That would lose to a mash, right? As long as the mash comes out on time. So like what I'm trying to get at is that if you are right on defense, but lose because of the mechanical aspect or like the because you're late, that feels bad because you're like, man, I guessed correctly, but because I was late on the button, I ended up losing because of it, right? Or I lost the interaction because of it. So it's kind of similar to that DI thing, the DRAV thing we are talking about earlier. If you're going to commit to an option, you can commit to it early, right? And you can, if you're going to mash here, just mash, right? Like mash right away. Ensure that it comes out on time. In this case, you would have still gotten a counter hit, but it would have been quote unquote correct because you mashed correctly. If that makes sense, right? So, because if I go for throw there, or if I go for delay option there or something else, then your mash will win, right? So something to just consider, keep in mind, right? When you get knocked down, if you've committed to a defensive option, just commit to it, whatever that looks like. So, especially since we play Ken, who is a motion input character, you can mash things, right? Mash DP, mash super, mash whatever, right? We're not charged, so we don't have to time it at all. So we get that advantage and luxury. So use it. All right. So I got the conversion here. All right, that was good. Check my movement. Yeah, so
I should not have drive rush there.
Yeah,
horrible
I was
habit.
Just about to point that out, right? So here you do the same thing again, right? This jab into crouching medium kick. Right.
Probably I could have did like 3 jabs into a DP.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. On the counter hit here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So you get the counter hit here. You're actually +6. So if you want to,
I could have did medium punch.
Crouching medium punch is the thing, right? You can if you're ready for that. Now, how ready you are for it, that's kind of up to you as a player. Like how much you want to put into single counter hit confirm off a light can be kind of tough in neutral. But from here, if you had gone into 2 jabs, right, second jab, or recognize the situation even like from right here. Right, you can link it, or right if you recognize it, or right if you go for 2 more. Oh, this should work actually. Oops. Am I late? Right, you get 3 there, right? So you can cancel that. It's a heavy, right? So again, it's sort of like how much time you want to put into single counter hit confirm here. The unfortunate thing is that because you did stand light punch instead of crouching light punch on the counter hit here, you don't get the crouching medium kick, right? Because a crouching light punch counter hit is +7, so you can't get a crouching medium kick, and then you would have been able to drive rush after that, right? And that would have been okay. Now, drive rush wise, maybe didn't make sense to do, right? Because you didn't have enough meter, but like from a combo perspective, you could have gotten that, right? In this case, you get the single counter jab here, which by itself is actually not a bad thing, right? Like by itself, because you stop my walk up, you get some space back, you hit me, right? But it can be tough to recognize like, oh, I got a counter hit here and go for like a conversion, right? Because I think even like maybe a stand medium punch will work here. Let's see. Oh, that's even better, right? So stand medium punch from that situation would have also been okay. But again, that's a single counter hit confirm, right? So that can be tough to do, especially in neutral where I'm just walking up, right? So yeah, but but I do think that like the multiple lights probably would have been an okay option, like you were saying. So, anyway. That said, this drive rush is a little bit tough. Right. So you go to a jab here. I just kind of I delay tech because you haven't really been punishing me for that so far. I also don't remember. So I just kind of delay tech here and wait for you to do something. Right. And then you end up going into a heavy fire or a light fireball here, which is kind of minus for Ken, right? So Ken is -7 point blank on a light fireball. So I just send a button. Okay, and that's punish counter. So if you are going to end a string here, right, you can probably use Jinrai more, right? In that case, because a Jinrai here, if you did that instead, if that is something you were planning on doing, right, you just went for the button here.
Yeah, I really don't know. I've just been messing up my inputs a lot.
Yeah.
See, like I have the like the plan in my head, but my hands are just not
It doesn't
doing
come
it.
out, yeah.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
meant to in my mind, I'm gonna Jinrai after that because at least that way I can like get into the light kick, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
maybe frame trap. But I throw out a heavy Hadoken, and like I don't like doing that.
Yeah, because you see, if I had mashed against that, and I mean, obviously my character's just reacting to what had happened previously, but you could have gotten a frame trap if I decided to mash, right? If you did for medium there, and if I blocked the medium and go for mash, it also potentially spaces me out on the low, where maybe I don't get a 5-frame punish anymore, right? Like maybe I'm late on the 5-framer, and you're able to just get away with a low Jinrai and unpunished, right? So, you know, that's better than taking a guaranteed punish off the fireball, right? Again, but that's just a mechanical thing, right? I think you had the right idea. It's just you executed the wrong thing. So I'm not too mad about that. The only thing though is that Ken's fireball does kind of suck. So if you if you happen to do that, you might get punished for it. So, right. So I don't mind the jump attempt here as much. I think like you could have waited to block this first and then jump. If you're reading throw though, I get it. Like if you thought I was going to drive rush throw, because I did that. I've done that to you a few times, right? Where I did like a drive rush. Maybe it was a cancel or maybe it was like raw, and I just went for a throw, and that would have worked, right? If you had done that, maybe I anti-air you on the crosscut, maybe not. But it's
I was expecting either like one of two things: either the grab, which I know I'm not teching,
yeah,
or a DI. Because like I've seen people hit me with like people love drive rush DI. I hate it every time.
Yeah.
Because like you just fly in my face, and like I'm not. No normal person is throwing that out. Like why are you?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
And you have to be ready for it, right? Like they're gambling on
I'm
you
just
not
never
being
ready.
ready for it, right? And that option, the option you picked here, would have beaten both of those, right? So if I went into like a throw here, you jump it. If I go into DI, you jump it, right? But unfortunately, what happens for you here is you get hit. You try to jump again, right? And then I crosscut you, right? So now that said, I mean, if we look at this as defensive situation to vacuum, right? This is actually good, right? Like as a decision, as like a result and all that. You try to take your turn. You jab me right here. That spaces me out a little bit enough where I can't really like. I'd have to commit to something if I wanted to try to press here, and you can just like continue pressing your lights, right? So if after I block this, if you press another light here, if I try to challenge you press another light, I'll get counter hit, right? So I decided to just block, right? Let you get whatever space you want to get out of here, and then wait to see what you do next. Now for you, your job is to get out of this corner because you're burned out, right? And you don't have a lot of health left, so it's very scary to be in this corner. So you do the correct thing, I think, right? You jump out. Now you take a crosscut for your trouble, but it's better than being in the corner, right? This is the tax you pay for being cornered, and you're able to jump out. Not everyone's going to be able to crosscut you like this, right? I'm willing to bet money that there are plenty of times where you've jumped over somebody like this and nothing happened. Like you were just able to get out of the corner, right?
No, yeah, 100%.
So, you know, this is what you're going to run into, potentially. But this crosscut isn't going to kill you. So now you're in the mid-screen, and you have to deal with me now in neutral, right? But at least you're on the corner. I missed my throw. Right, and then
if I was faster with that jab,
yeah,
I would have punish countered
but
that.
he got it, right? Got me there.
Yeah, like I see it, but I don't move my hands.
Yeah, so here, right, and it's like, oh, I have a chance, and then no, right, and it's too late. But that's really just like, I think some of that is just exposure, so playing more so that, you know, you recognize situations faster, if that makes sense. Because you see it, right? Like, oh, the whiff throw, I always press this button and whiff throw. and it becomes automatic, right? It's basically like muscle memory at that point. So you jab here, it's a little bit late, and you try to walk up and jab me again, I'm guessing is what that was. Right? So the reason I pressed this when I pressed it was because you had been going into the crouching medium kick from here, right? So from right here, right? If you did go into crouching medium kick, right, it kills you, right? I'm able to get a conversion from there. So that's what I was saying, like that adaptation of like noticing your habit there and going for that. Like that's what I was trying to do there. Now it works out because you ended up going for like a walk up instead, right? So and it tags you anyway as you're walking forward, right? And then it worked out for me. But that is something you'll have to pay attention to in your games, where if a common string you're doing that is kind of turnsteely, right? The crouching jab into like a medium button is a little bit greedy, like, you know, as a concept. And if you notice people are able to beat that option from you, then you have to rotate out of it, right? Because like I thought you were gonna go for a medium there, and that's why I did what I did, right? But if you look at this and go back, right, from right here, if you go into another jab, right? Actually, it looks like it whiffs. Yeah. Right, if you do something like that, maybe. But you know, you don't. I was basically banking on you doing something after that jab, right? Whatever that ends up looking like. Because if you just jab and do nothing, right? Right, you have to deal with the mix-up. If you try to extend this, though, you'll get counter hit, right? With the low, especially, and with the medium, if you do this, we'll trade, right? So, which is not necessarily great for you, but it's better than dying, I suppose. But it definitely, the reward is not as much if you were going for low there. Now, you're burned out, right? So there's not really a driver's cancel there, so you'd have to send something, I think, if you're going to go for that, right? You'd go for like maybe a Jinrai into like a super, potentially, or probably what I would do if I was going for that string. Or maybe like a run DP into super. So you have to commit to something in that scenario, right? For better or worse, like situationally. But from a like the individual situation standpoint, I was just adapting to a string that you had shown me like 3 or 4 times, right? So all I'm saying is that you got to be careful, right? When you start noticing like, hey, the thing that I normally do gets hit, then you should probably pay attention to what your opponent is doing to beat that, and then you can try to get around it, right? So like if you look at here and you notice I've been taking my turn with a crouching medium punch, you could potentially do something like this. Well, I guess it's harder when you're burned out. Yeah, I don't know, actually. I think like probably the low is the right thing there. You don't get any real reward off it, but that is what something you can do. You can also just rip reversal if you really wanted to and do that, but it's a little bit tougher without meter, I think, to do that. So is what it is. Okay, so yeah, what can you do in that situation? Let's see. So if I block that jab, I can't go into that, right? I can't do this either because of the counter hit, right? So mediums aren't really a thing. I can go into a stand jab, right? And if I do a stand jab, right, now it spaces me out, right? To where I can't, like, I wouldn't be able to reach you now with my jab, right? So, right, because if I do this, yeah, it looks like maybe I'm late, actually. Because if I'm on time with that, I would get counter hit. Yeah, there might be a frame where it's too... it actually makes sense, because if I mash crouching medium punch here, yeah, there's a frame. So I'm actually a frame late in that scenario, from here. But if I was on time, because that crouching medium punch, since it's both the same amount of time, it should have counter hit you out of that, right? So if you had gone for another jab there, I get counter hit. And maybe I can show you that later. But if you went for a second jab in that scenario and I try to mash something, that would likely gotten me counter hit, and you get a confirm off of it, right? It'd be like a light string confirm, and maybe that's. I mean, we need the game, not in that scenario, but it's better than dying, right? So anyway, we'll take a look at some of the situations I think later. If you're interested in that, just remind me. But otherwise, I think again you're playing fairly well. I think overall, for where you're kind of at and what you've told me your situation was and all that, I think you're playing fine. It's just that I think when you're playing ranked, running the people that are around the same MR, they don't make, or they make different mistakes than I do, right, at the level I'm at. where like, or the openings you get are different, right? Or like they don't do as much to like, I'm sure you played Ken's at your rank right now, or even 15, 1600. They'll just continue dragon lashing, jumping, drive rushing. Like they'll do everything that they can do to try to get in, right? And then it's like, oh, it's just a matter of checking their options, and then you're able to win the game. But if you're unfamiliar with a Ken that doesn't do that, it can be tough, right? Like all I was really doing was walking forward and pressing stand heavy punch, right? Like there was a game where I did that to you like 6 times. Like I just kept pressing heavy punch, and you're like, what do I do, right? How do I beat that? Because people don't normally do that at these ranks, right? They're pressing Dragon Lash, they're doing low forward drive rushes, they're doing some other things, right? But otherwise, that's again, I thought you were doing fine overall. Yeah, so let's take a look at one of the replays. And while I'm bringing that up, you have any questions or comments, concerns while I'm looking this up? We can talk about. Think of.
I don't think I have any questions right now.
Okay.
But some will probably pop up.
All right. So you won that one.
I lost like the last couple ones because it was against the Ryu, and I'm not gonna lie, it was like almost midnight.
Yeah.
One of the rounds, I was bullshitting. I'm not gonna lie. I was.
All right, let's see.
Round start Dragon Lash.
Let's see.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like some of the quote unquote scrubbier options that people like to talk about, they're not really scrubby. They're just options, right? Like you can do those things. If you do a round start Dragon Lash and it works, you're a genius, right? Like if they go for like a round start low, like they walk up and low forward you and you Dragon Lash over that, like that's beautiful, right? Punish kind of Dragon Lash, get a full conversion.
It's next Evo champ upcoming.
So what I'm saying, right? Like pro mash, pro randomness, right? But that's it's like you're picking an option. And the way I like to think about it when it comes to like option selection, if you will, right? It's kind of like when I decide I'm gonna do something, like what am I beating and what am I losing to? Right? What are the common things that I would beat and what are the common things I would lose to in that scenario, in that situation, right? That space, maybe it's an Oki situation, whatever, right? What option I pick, you know, why am I picking the option I'm picking? And for me, a lot of the times it's not just like the reward you look at. So like, oh, if I pick that option and I'm right, I'm going to win the game or whatever, something like that. But really what it comes down to is like, am I beating more options than I'm losing to? Right. And we kind of looked at that. We can look at that situation earlier where I mashed against your jab. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if I decide to mash a medium in that scenario, what am I beating and what am I losing to? Right. So if you continue your light stream, I'm going to lose, right? Lose in the sense that I lose interaction. You'll be able to frame trap me, get a light conversion. It's fine. Right. But if you go for a delay option or a turn steal option, right? You try to steal the turn with like a bigger button. I beat that. Right. So my crouch medium punch comes out because you're minus. I'm able to drive rush and win the interaction. Right. If you go for a walk-up throw, right, which is or a walk-up option, walk-up button, walk-up throw, whatever, what you did in that scenario, I'm going to hit you, right, because you're walking forward, you're not blocking, so I can hit you with a crouch medium punch, right? And then what am I losing to, right? I lose to, again, if you decide to continue your block string, I can lose to that. I could lose to like a random EXDP, like you press jab into EXDP, which happens, right? That's the thing people do sometimes. The minus frames into EXDP, even though you were burned out.
That's happened to me a couple times. Again, people who do that are insane.
Yeah.
Why are you doing
it's
that?
like you think about it, right? It's like as an option, I'm not really considering that because I assume that you are making the same kind of risk reward analysis as well, right? Like it's like, oh, this is a really risky option where if I'm wrong, I'm gonna die. But for some folks, they just let that rip, right? Like what's the alternative? Like for you in that scenario, if you had pressed jab into level 3 from there, right? Like that would beat my mash, right? Now, is it an option I would consider? Maybe not, right? If like all I can do in that situation would be tip my hat to you and be like, all right, good job, right? Like that beat me. But again, like you're considering options that your opponent are presenting, and are you beating more options than you're losing to? Or alternatively, are you beating the likely options they're picking, or are you losing to a likely option, or are you going to lose to a likely option they'll pick? Right. So in that scenario there, I thought the most likely thing you would do there would be to go for a crouching medium kick after the jab. That's what I thought. The option I ended up picking covered both of those, right? So it covered you walking up and pressing a button, which is what actually happened. It also covered you going for the crouching medium kick, right? Which is what I thought was going to happen. And then if you do nothing, right, you let me take my turn back with a crouching medium punch. So I get a 0 situation, get some space, and it gets to hit you, right? Like that would be what happens there. If you go for something else like a jump or a backdash or something, a crouching medium punch will likely catch you, right? We saw that when I tried to jump, you got hit, right? If you backdash, it'll probably hit you, right? So like, there are all these things that can occur after that jab, and my decision was I'm going to press a button that will beat a good amount of these options, but it still loses to certain things, right? And is the thing I'm going to lose to like really that bad if that happens, right? In this case, probably not. You know, in the case we're looking at, probably not, because you would get a light conversion and knock me down, but you're burned out and one interaction away from dying, right? So like I'm not in a position to lose from that scenario, right? So it's a risk I'm willing to take to go for the jab. Okay? So all that is said is that if you think about a round start Dragon Lash, right? Like if you do it and rip it, if the opponent goes to walk up low forward, which a lot of Shoto players do, right? That's what we do as Shoto players, walk up low forward. Dragon Lash profiles it, you get a punish counter combo, right? And that's a huge reward. And even if they just block it, you get a +1, right? Situation. If they're not ready and they don't jab you, DP you, DI it, parry it, whatever, if they don't deal with that option right then and there and you land it on block, it's still a positive situation for you, right? You're +1 in their face. So it's not the end of the world if it doesn't quite work out. So all that I said is basically sometimes you got to do the crazy, right? Throw it in there, sprinkle it in, go for it, right? What do you have to lose in a lot of cases, right? So you have to decide if the risk that you're taking is worth the reward you'll get or not. All right.
This dude, I'm looking at his inputs. We are not the same. Round start, he is mashing like crazy.
Yeah, going for drive. He wants the drivers to come out immediately, right? And it's the same deal for him, right? Like I can't be in the mind of this particular Ryu player, but like from a outside observer standpoint, what is the risk and reward for doing this, right? If he gets in and hits you, like you press the button, you're not ready, you fail the check or whatever, like you miss it, he gets a driverless jab, hits you, right? He goes for jab here, probably just because he was expecting you to deal with it in some capacity. But if you do like a heavy punch and you miss the check, you're going to eat a lot of damage, right? So that's a huge reward for him. Even in this scenario here, he expects you to block, right? So he gets a +3 situation out of drive rush, right? And decides to continue his light string, right? And then goes into a low forward, right? So, and then uses OD to keep it safe, right? So this Ryu is very active overall, right? In this first interaction, we kind of noticed that, right? And it seems like this is maybe like game 2 or something of this set, whatever.
Yeah, it's the last set.
Yeah,
the last match
game.
of the set.
Yeah. So you can see, right? Like, I'm gonna let this play out, and we'll see what he does in the 4 seconds, right? Yeah. Right. So we basically went into raw drive rush, jab, plus frames into another jab, tries to catch you walking back, and then I think he basically sent the OD fireball here, right? Like you can't really confirm this. So he's basically expecting you to walk back, and he throws OD fireball because this will knock you down, right? If you get hit here, you get knocked down, right? And then he sweeps, right? So this is very active, right? Because he's minus after this, right? But it's spaced out. So if you walk forward and try to hit him, you get clipped, right? Especially because you go for a bigger button here, right? You go for the stand heavy kick, which is the button that would reach, right? Like,
yeah. If I didn't walk forward, I'd fry him, I guess.
Yeah, or you block, right? If you just block here,
yeah.
Right, you would be able to get. I think you get sweep will work here. Oops. Yeah, you do that, or if you walk forward, like if the sweep reaches you and you block it, you get that, right? So like against someone that's really active, you kind of have to watch what they do with their minus frames, right? So like if they're plus, you can kind of expect them to continue pressing because they're plus, so you kind of have to respect that. But the real meat, I think, against a player like this who's very active, and again, I'm making an assumption based off the 4 seconds or so of gameplay I've seen from him. You have to wait to see what they do in their minus frames, right? Because that's when the quote unquote randomness craziness comes out, right? Because they're expecting you to take your turn like you're quote unquote supposed to, and then they blow you up with like a reversal, right? In this case, he was minus and went for a sweep, right? Some of that's spacing dependent, I think. Like he's able to space this. Like his risk is that you block it, but the reward for him is a knockdown, right? But if you do anything here, you press the button, you walk forward, it's going to tag you, right? So, yeah, it's really just more of a strategy thing against players like this who are active. You watch their minus frames, right? So when they're minus, what do? Do they jump? Do they walk forward? Do they press some buttons? Whatever. And that's how you decide and that's how you figure out how to beat them. Right? Now you see the downside of the perfect parry, right? It your 5-framer is not fast enough to beat this, right? Because you parry kind of late here. Ryu's only -2, or in this case -4, or whatever, right? So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah. So you parry this, and the Ryu recovers in time to block, right? So if you had DP'd him, then this whole scenario doesn't happen, right? You don't get this, right? So something to think about. Now he doesn't punish you here. Maybe knowledge check, maybe wasn't ready, whatever. But this is super minus, right? The target combo. And my guess here is when you saw it whiff, you're like, damn, and decided to stop doing whatever you were gonna do next.
Yeah, I was gonna let something crazy fly, but I realized
because
it was
like
already over.
you'd run Tatsu from here, right? Or Dragon Lesson DP or whatever, right? Like that is what you would do.
Yeah.
But because it was on block, your brain goes, oh, I shouldn't do that, and you kind of let this sit, right? Now, options-wise, from here, if you wanted to stay safe completely, you would go into OD Fireball, right? So you throw the OD Fireball. You can't be DI'd from that scenario. You're -2 on block, so you're safe, but it's not your turn anymore, right? The other thing you can do here is you go into medium Jinrai, right? So you send a medium Jinrai from here and hope that they don't check you, right? Because Ken's target combo is very susceptible to DI if you don't get it into a block string at the end, right? So like even from here, right? Now you don't cancel anything, so maybe you'd be able to counter DI if they went for DI here. But if from here, me as an opponent of this, seeing this, I would totally be ripping a DI right now, right? Now maybe like, because if you go into any cancel, Fireball, Jinrai, or something like that, Jinrai being the most common, your DI will get blown up, right? And I can mash DI through this, and if you go into like a full block string with the OD Fireball, which is a true block string, my DI won't come out, right? So, so here you can gamble a little bit, right? Send the medium Jinrai, see if they know how to deal with that or not, right? If they have been dealing with Jinrai, then I totally get it. But I really think here is your brain went, oh shit, I didn't get the hit, I should stop, and that's what happens. So he doesn't really punish you, he just goes for a throw. Good. Let's see here, right? So you can see, I think you whiffed this, right? Yeah, and he doesn't punish you. Oh, he tried and he didn't get there, right? Knock him down. Right. Goes for a combo that puts you out of the corner for some reason. Walk up throw again. Right. So I don't mind this decision. I mean, if you look at it real time, how fast was that, right? Like maybe you didn't recognize he was doing an OD move of some kind. Maybe you did, but you.
I thought he was gonna walk up grab because like he did that a lot.
And that's what I mean is that I think that's a fine. It was fine for you to react that way, right? Or choose that option. I think that's totally fine. Why the Ryu decided to throw an OD Fireball in the scenario, I don't quite understand, because that's not really a great setup for him. But it worked out, so that's fine. If you thought he was going to walk it through, I think that's not bad, not a bad option. You could also rip a reversal, like a full-on OD, EXTP from Ken. It's really good too, can be a thing. So if you're hedging a little bit against the 6-frame versus the full punish counter, I understand that too. But you could rip a reversal as well. It's not a bad option. All right, so now you're in control, right? So you don't have super, no meter, some health lead, but it's not that much, and you have him close to the corner, right? So your job here should be to continue pressuring him to get him to the corner and try maybe go for a DI checkmate situation, or just keep him in the corner. So let's see what happens. Nice. Okay, you tried. I saw you tried, right? And that's just recognition, right? Like, yeah, you're a little late. That's okay. Nice. So this is good. I don't mind any of the sequence. Like, he wasn't ready. There's no way for him to get out of it. I think he had level 1 at this point. Let's see. Okay, he has level 1 here, right? So decision making wise, I'd be a little bit wary, right? Make sure that I'm ready for, or if I'm trying to bait a super, which looks like you're trying to do here, right? It looked like he tried to super you, actually. Didn't come out for him.
Ooh, I'm a genius.
It worked out, right? Right here, right? So it was right here. He was trying to super you, I think. Right. I think he's trying to super here with whatever this input is. Yeah, see, he's mashing. He's trying to mash the super right out of here. It doesn't come out. He gets a regular fireball. Okay, and then you DI him, right? I don't mind that sequence. Totally fine.
Ooh, I think I dropped this. Oh no, never mind.
That's good to me, right? Corner combo
Ooh.
is what it is. I think there's some optimization you can do there, but this was totally acceptable, in my opinion. It's fine.
I think I bait out a DP here. I don't. I lied. Never mind. I got hit.
Got hit. How did that happen? Let's take a look. So you have some plus frames here. You get the 0 on the 25. This is fine, right? It's still 0. And then you go for jab and a heavy punch, right? So there's a gap here, right?
Should have just blocked.
Maybe. If you go into a string here, I think you get blown up anyway, right? So if you go into like a light string, you get blown up anyway, right? And when you think about this, it's not the end of the world for you, right? Like you get dealt Ryu damage on the DP. Oops. Right? So your health is here. You take the damage there, right? Unfortunately, gets baited. But like this isn't end of the world type stuff for you, right? Like you're not gonna lose the game from this scenario here, right? As like eating that EXDP ends your pressure, but like you're still ahead in meter by a little bit. You're still ahead in health by a little bit, and everything else is the same in terms of meter, right? So like you're not in a position to lose here yet, right? He gets baited. We'll see the punish. Okay, he goes for throw.
No, this guy's AI.
Yeah, he goes for throw again. Ooh.
Ooh, see. Ooh, hold up, wait.
Oh,
Actually, why didn't I OD? I meant to
no.
OD DP right there.
Yeah.
Not OD. I meant to what's it called? OD Hado. I meant to
It
throw
didn't
my
come out.
Hado. Okay.
Yeah. So here,
Oh
should have
my
won it right
gosh.
here, right? Full conversion, cash out, level 1 potentially, but you win it here. Right, that's fine.
See, I'm telling you. Oh my gosh.
Looks like you're trying to throw a second fireball, and that's what came out, was the DP there. So,
oh my days.
yeah. That's tough. Here, right?
Oh wait, actually no. I think I was trying to bait out the jump and I just mistimed my DP.
It could be that too, because you got that, right? You got the jump you wanted. And you went for the heavy.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
The problem here, though, was that you're too far, right? So this spacing doesn't let you fireball trap the same way. Alternatively, you need to throw a light, or you need to throw a light. So let's see. When did you throw this? So right there, right? So yeah, I don't know if you actually were able to. Yeah, it wouldn't have worked either way. It's too far, right?
Unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, even if, well, that only works because it chips him out. But you wouldn't have been able to anti-air from that position with that fireball, with that setup, right? Now, if you did something like this, maybe, let's see. Maybe that works because of the chip, the drive rush. But I think, like, if you look at the spacing here, this is too far for you to anti-air jump. Like, you ideally here, like, I know this looked like it was going to work, but unfortunately it doesn't, right? So it's a little too far. If the Ryu was standing a little bit closer, or you throw this, let's see. So this is the throw, the Jinrai. And you move closer after this, right? So if you do this. Oops. Oh, why is that? Okay. Ooh, I'm getting the... Right, that might work from this distance. Why is that? Oh, I think it's eating the... Right, so... hopefully you're able to see that. So, like, the further away you were, the harder it is for you to anti-air the jump, right? If you're too close to the fireball, you'd actually get jumped in. So there's a magical spacing that you could throw that fireball at and still anti-air the jump in, right? It's sort of like just inside the 3/4 screen, kind of range there. I don't know if you kind of see it as I was doing it, but right about here. Oh, man. Why is it giving me DP? Right, so... There's a space where this works, right? So right about here, I think. And then you can DP him from there, right? So, like, I don't know why my inputs are not as good. For whatever reason. Oh, my God. Oh, dude. I'm on leverless, too, so it happens to me a lot where I'm trying to walk forward. Right. But there's a spacing, and if you throw the fireball at the right spacing there and they jump, you'd be able to DP them, right? So we'll just leave it at that, I think. Ken's fireball is not great overall. It's still a little bit slow in recovery, but it can still work for that, right? I would say that in this situation, though, like given that you had the space here, you could just wait, right? What is the Ryu going to do? He's burned out, right? So you could just wait and wait for the next thing to happen, basically. But unfortunately, what ends up happening is you miss the DP and he beats you, right? So it is what it is. Moving on two.
Mm-hmm.
Good. See the punish. Oh, that's unfortunate. So how'd that fall out? Oh, okay, you were late on the cancel. Okay. Alright, so here, why did this work, right? Let's look. So, get the parry here. Alright, so you went into plus frames, +3, into the stand heavy punch. And it looked like he tried to tech. Or delay tech. Right, so if you look here, look at the input wise, right, he techs the jab, right? He does a delay tech here, and then he tries to delay tech again on your follow-up, and that counter hits, right? So basically you selected a button here that left enough of a gap where it blows at the delay tech, right? So this is like a delayed option, basically. So it's pretty good, right? You get the counter hit here. You can confirm this now into like stand heavy punch, stand light kick, or stand medium kick if you want it. Or no, sorry, stand medium punch into a target combo since you're close enough, or stand light kick into heavy DP if you want to go meterless. You could also have what you did here. I think you end up sending a Jinrai. Totally fine as well, right? I don't mind that either. But you know, as some options, you could also drive rush, right? You have some options here. That said, you end up you have them cornering them. Okay, see the punish. Don't mind that. Is what it is. If if that's what you're comfortable with, it's what you're comfortable with. I would prefer to heavy punch starter, but you know, it doesn't have to be like that, right? So you did 23-10 with that combo here. Right, so a max damage combo will look something like this, I think. Nope. Right, 2460. Right, 3200 for that. Right, so you're leaving some damage on the table, is what I'm getting at. And Ken doesn't do a lot of damage anyway, so some of these situations you probably do to maximize if you can. Like, something like this would also work, right? Oh, but... Right, Jinrai loop. Right, like something like that, which is 3400, right? It's 1,000 more damage for a little bit more resources, right? So like, you may have to spend some time labbing the punish counter stuff, just so that you have it, right? Like what you did is totally fine. Taking the damage that you know you can get is never a bad thing. It's just that I think once you at the level you're at now, some of those things like you should be looking at optimizing that if you can, right? Either spending some resources or optimizing your meterless punish, whatever that ends up looking like. However you want to do that, you probably do need to look into that, right? So anyway, that said, this is totally fine. And it goes for tech. Jump with the DI. Let's get anti-air. Ooh. Okay, parry. Oh. All right, so that was fine, right? Punish counter with the low. Ooh.
I'm just eating these lows. It's so unfortunate.
Yeah, so what's happening here, right, is that he walks up and sweeps you, right? Because he's expecting you to move, or at least if I was this Ryu, I'd be expecting, like, what if I'm this Ryu and doing what I'm doing here, the reason I'm doing it is because I'm expecting you to move, right? So, like, here, after you burn me out, or after it's burned out, I'm expecting you to move, right? The walk-up sweep, the spacing he does this at, now again, whether he recognizes this or not, the spacing he's doing this at makes it seem like he can press a button, right? If he presses a stand heavy punch here, he'll probably reach you. Stamina could also probably reach you, right? Solar plexus would likely reach you as well. So he's expecting you to move to maybe get out of that situation. And that's when the sweep happens, right? In this case, you were actually trying to walk forward, right? To punch him. Either way, you're trying to move, right? So he sweeps into a jump. That's what he's been doing. And then hits you with this. He doesn't follow up, though. Instead, he had committed to his second jump, basically, right? Now, whether or not he meant to, let's see. Yeah, he committed to a second jump here, right? So you perfect parry him. And then the throw whiffs, unfortunately, right? So again, like a situation where an anti-air DP is better, right? Because you get the knockdown, you don't get this awkward situation where you can't punish because you were correct and parried him, but you weren't able to get a punish because of it. Right? Kind of surprised the driver's cancel didn't come out there. I'm guessing it just didn't. Let's see.
Did I press it?
You did.
I did press it.
You did press it,
Okay,
just
I'm
didn't
just
come
being sold. They
Yeah,
sold me.
I guess it just didn't. You were holding down still, so I guess that's why it didn't come out. Whatever. Yeah, because you kill him from here, right? Like you cash out level 1, he's dead, 100%, right? So even with like a minor cash out combo without using run stops or anything, you probably kill him from here, right? So, right, and then you go for these like stagger pressure jabs, right? My assumption would be that you were trying to bait out a super from him, so you're like trying to jab him and then block and see if he like supers you, and then you get hit by a mashed button when you went for the heavy, right? So okay, all right, so again, same thing we saw earlier, right? He's going for getting into a spacing that makes you want to move. In this case, you kind of throw a OD fireball, unfortunately. I'm guessing that's not what you wanted. Maybe it's just normal fireball. Either way, you get swept, right? And again, it has to do with the fact that he moves into a space that I think maybe he recognizes it, maybe not, but in a spacing that is making you want to move or do something. In this case, throw a fireball. Right? And then he jumps again, because that's the same pattern he was doing last time. You parry again. At this time, though, it's not a perfect parry, and he's close enough for a throw. So we just saw that in the last 2 sequences, he did the exact same thing twice, right? So did you, I guess, to some extent, to defend it. But the same sequence happened twice, right? So some of that was interesting. Right, and then he just donkey kicks you. All right, now he has meter again, right? So, yeah, spends it right away. Whiffs. All right. Are you going to kill him? Let's see. Okay, so
I meant to level 3. I meant to,
I meant to super him.
Look.
Yeah.
You can see it in the inputs, bro.
Going for it here.
Oh my gosh.
Whiffs. Right, so you're trying. Looks like you're trying to do. Yeah, I think you wanted a super here, right?
Yeah, I think I missed one of the what's it called?
Missed one of the core circles. Basically, you weren't able to hit it a second time. So what I'll say here is that this is a situation where an optimized combo does make sense, right? So you do need to be able to kill from this situation, right? Because this is basically a gift. So if you're here. Right, like I didn't even just send super from that, right? Otherwise, you can also do something like this, right? So, nope. Right, you can use super if you wanted to, right? If you don't have an optimal cash out or whatever, but
yeah, I could have done that.
Yeah, or even like a level 1 here, I think would work too. So, oops, something like this probably. If you cash out into level 1, like say we do a non-optimal cash out. right? Something like that, or even just this. Right? Like if I were to think about a combo that you probably can't, you're probably thinking about, is like this. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of in line what I think like I've seen you do in terms of combos, right? So you already had a combo that you know you can do and would have won the game, right? Spending super again, not the end of the world here. Ideally, you don't spend it at all, but spending level 1, even the situation I showed was spend level 2, both worth it in that scenario, right? Because the alternative is what? Like you save it and you don't kill him, you just die with it. Like that's not as good, right? So you might as well spend. Something that happens a lot for a lot of folks is they try to hold on to the super, and this is a resource you should be spending if you can. Because remember, once you're maxed out on this, you can't build any more super, right? So you're kind of wasting that potential, right? If you think about it from like, I don't know if you played any other games where like there's ult meters and stuff where you're wasting potential if you're not using it, like you have cooldowns or whatever. Same idea here, right? You should be using this if you can, if it makes sense to do so. Especially here where you
Oh,
get a win, right?
I'm so upset. Like I literally, you could see that I know how to kill this guy.
Yeah,
but
and
I messed up the input.
Yeah, and I showed an input. I showed a combo here that I've seen you do literally in a game we played, right? So,
like this is just so tragic.
yep. So now we're in a situation where the next person, he doesn't have super anymore, but if you make a mistake,
What does he do to me? How do I lose this?
Fireball. So,
unfortunate.
Yeah. So wake up OD Fireball here, maybe not the best option, mostly because it doesn't. It's like you're not really gaining anything here. What I would have done if you wanted to throw this fireball is you wait a second, right? So if you had waited from here and not woken up with it, but like waited, right? You could have blocked that because that fireball is coming meaty, right? So even if I, well, I don't think it's coming meaty because you're able to. Well, let's see. We want to go back a little bit. It's not meaty here in particular, but if I let's see. Right, so yeah, it's not gonna keep you locked down, but if you go for something like you did, it'll beat you, right? Like if you look at when the fireball comes, right? So you're in neutral again here, and then it's just a 5-frame gap, and you throw your fireball. But Ken's fireball has a huge startup, right? Or has a startup, so that's what ends up getting you, right? So like, if I were to categorize really what this round ended up meaning, like I think you win this if your combos are optimized, right? Maybe not optimized, but a little bit better, right? So like that's just fine. So right here, opportunity to kill him or to deal real damage here, right? So if you deal 3k damage, you put him at like 1 interaction away from dying. But you deal 2k instead. Again, not terrible, but you could be dealing more here. Right, and then there's this whole sequence here, just kind of like he's spending meter to do things. You guys kind of get into like little jumps. You're making reads and all that stuff. Because you're ahead, right? You're just taking a lot of these like random kind of, not even random, but like small hits, right? Right. And then you kill him from here, right? And like you would have, maybe it doesn't make a big difference overall if you did more damage in another interaction, but it may, this player doesn't seem like it, but it may influence what this person does, right? So like someone that has health is more likely to take risk than someone who doesn't have health. So if you dealt real damage on that other punish counter opportunity, they may be in like the yellow here, and that changes how they play the game. Now this guy doesn't seem like he really cares. He'll just do what he's gonna do, and whatever happens happens. But some players will change their strategy or change their play style if they're low on health. Also, if you had spent a little more earlier, maybe this whole situation doesn't come out, right? Like maybe he's actually a lot lower, or maybe you are able to kind of put him away, right? Because normally, like for most characters and most of the time, if you whiff like 2 supers, like or 2 reversals, and get a full punish counter, it's unlikely you'll win the game because you'll take a lot of damage from that, right? 3,000, 4,000 damage. You could even decide to super there, spend some meter, whatever, right? Like here, for sure, you'll kill him, right? And that other interaction, you could have gotten him lower, right? And like if you look at where his health was after this, right? So it's here after you do that combo, right? And then we look at like the random hits that happen. So it's here. I'm gonna leave my mouse there because you hit him a few times, right? There's not like there's anything that, yeah, right? It's burned out, so you hit him. Right, after all of that, like there may be a situation where, whatchamacallit, there may be a world where like he's, even though he's one interaction away here, it may be an interaction you can get from like a light string or something like that, right? You're dealing more damage overall. But essentially, what I'm getting at is that I think that you should be maximizing your opportunities to get damage if you can, especially when they make a mistake like that, where they reversal or whiff a super or whatever, right? So that's just mechanical thing. You just have to work through it, grind it out, be ready for it, all that. Because again, that may influence how this guy plays. Now, this guy in particular, I don't think it would. Right? He's gonna do what he's gonna do, and you're just
No,
gonna
yeah,
do
he
it.
was just letting stuff fly.
Yeah, but like if you think about how you were playing when you had less health, right, or how other people who have less health, they tend to it changes a little bit the risk reward, right? Because now you could actually die if you're wrong versus taking a ton of damage. So it may influence things. That said, again, like you do want to maximize damage when you get the opportunity to, right? Because like even against me when we were playing, there's maybe like 2 opportunities, maybe 3 opportunities you would get per round that where I make a blunder that you can take a punish counter against me, right? Like that's not like a whiff punish, something like that. Like you block a reversal or something. Like those opportunities happen a lot less as you go up in rank, right? So you want to maximize when you can, because again, like even though it wouldn't have killed him that other time, like it may lower the barrier to killing him on the next interaction, right? Now here, obviously, it's okay because you're gonna cash out and kill him if you land it or whatever. But you know, you don't know that plays out the same way if you get those combos in or not, right? So yeah, I would characterize that as basically what happened there, because like this guy isn't doing a ton of damage to you at one point, right? If you look, this is the maximum damage he did in any interaction, 1560, right? And that's one combo that he did. Like most of the time he's getting you by like kind of nickel and diming you with like these random hits, right? And hitting you a couple of times, right? So, but yeah, I mean that's how it goes. So again, like if I were to characterize like what I think you need to work on in particular, one is the combo routing and optimization. I think like you score opportunities enough where you should be getting squeezing a little more damage out of those if you can. Anti-airing would be the other one, right? Getting away from the parry anti-air and moving more into like button anti-airs, right? Whether that be crouching heavy punch or DP or whatever. I think that would be the other kind of major thing to work on. And then the last thing would be not whiffing buttons, right? So against me in particular, whiff buttons, right? That's how I got a lot of my damage. And in these games here, we saw that there was a lot less whiffing, but it's because the Ryu is just kind of throwing himself at you, right? Like he was always in space where if you press the button, you would be able to reach them, right? So like those would be the things I would work through if you could, right? So I have some videos I'll send it to you after on like some of the drills that I like to give people for trying not to whiff. When it comes to combos, just ping me after this and we can look at I'll send you some of the documents that I have for that. There's just a couple of guides. Ken's not that complicated a character. And there are some changes in the run in his routing, right? So on the heels of the combo thing, maybe learning run stop stuff might become more relevant. You saw that I was using crouch heavy punch as my main starter for punish counter, right? Because it offers more routing options. You can use 10 heavy punch. That works just as well in most cases for the combos you're doing now. But if you want to optimize, that's something you'll have to look into, right? As you get better. Because like the buff that they gave Ken for his crouching medium punch in that scenario does result in a little bit more damage in the long run, right? Like he does a little more damage in drive rush combos and those scenarios. So something to consider. But yeah, those would be the things I would look into mostly for where you are now. And to get to like maybe I don't want to say next level, but like where the biggest efficiencies I guess would be, like the most bang for your buck in terms of like what I would spend time on, right? Because again, I know you said you played a long time. You played for a while, you kind of stopped, come get back into it now. Got to master, which is great, and now it's just a matter of like kind of plugging these gaps in your game plan so that you lose less often, right? Like I think the Ryu doesn't have the opportunity to come back if you convert those combos, quote unquote, correctly, or deal more damage if you can, right? So like the game may change, right? There's a world where the Ryu doesn't do the things he does, because you dealt a little more damage, or maybe he makes decisions differently, or one of those straight hits you land can be converted into a full combo that could kill him, right? And you take away the opportunities for him to come back, right? So yeah. With that, did you want to run it back? You have any run another set? Do you have time for that, or what do you think?
Yeah, I got time. I got time for one
Let's
set.
do it. All right. All right. Mike's Auto. So yeah, so I would say in this set, really just try not to whiff if you can. I think that would be the main thing to focus on. Now, it may not work out, but it is what it is. But it's really, because this is hard. This is like one of the hardest things to learn and do. But I would say that if you're trying to focus on something during the set, my focus would be on trying not to whiff your buttons. Like go with that intention and see what happens.
All right, just focus on space, eh?
Focus on space. Focus on trying to land your buttons, making sure they don't whiff. That's really all it is. Like, use the same buttons you would use in neutral, but like pay attention to the space and try not to whiff them. Is really what I would say. So. Oh. Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh. You see, when you went for the grab, I went for a wake-up DP and I messed up my input.
Out. Oh. Nice. Uh-oh. Ah. Oh, he went for another button after that, huh?
Yeah, I should have chilled.
Yeah, I could have waited a little bit there. I mean, the overhead is plus, so but if you're gonna press her, just press again. You don't need to move.
Whoa! Why did my parry cancel? What the heck was that? Ooh, the devil shivers when I get my spacing properly.
Oh man, I keep dropping that. Oh.
Oh my gosh, I'm addicted to parrying. It's so bad. It's so bad. Wake up DP. Okay, I tried to do it.
You tried. It would have worked too. But you can see that, right? Like if I notice you doing the wake up, like the parry, I'm able to just kind of jump at you, right?
Mm-hmm. I went for a stand heavy kick. Ooh.
Oh, nice sweep. Oh, okay. I saw that.
I tried to do the run step kick.
Yeah, when you dry rush cancel like that, I was trying to rip DP because you've been going for like a button after that in that plus flame situation, so I tried to blow that up. Oh. Oh. Nice. Uh-oh. Whoa. I got bamboozled.
No way, no way.
Man.
Whiff of doom in this. Wake up. Okay,
It wasn't coming out. It wasn't coming out.
I did not mean to do that. Okay, we got this. We got this. I'm locked. I don't use my crouch medium punch at all.
You should. It's a really good button. Nice. Nice DP.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
See, my hands listen to my brain. I tried to do the same thing. Oh, I'm dead. Unfortunate.
They're like no damage on the perfect parry scaling, but so what I'll say is that even though the result kind of was what it was, I think that like because you were being more conscious about your button selection and spacing, it seemed like I was getting away with a lot less. Meaning like you whiffed less, so I wasn't able to just open you up for free, right? I had to kind of work a little harder, right? So I had to take a little more risk, right? I had to walk forward and press, or I had to move in and out of differently. I couldn't just wait for you to whiff a button and punish you for that, right? Instead, I had to actually force some offense, right? And that's all you can really ask for, right? Is that you're changing up what's happening, right? Because like if you're whiffing and losing, you know, because of it, like continuing to do that probably doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Like it's tough, right? You're just gonna lose. But if you change up how that looks, then I have to change what I'm doing, and that can give you an opportunity to come back, right? There were some situations there where I think you landed some hits because I had whiffed, or because I made a mistake moving forward, or because I was walking forward and you checked my movement with like a jab or a crouching medium punch, right? So like paying attention to that spacing and paying attention to the options that are available at those spacings, I think will go a long way. And I think you're on the right track here for that. Because again, like if you look at the replays now versus the replays that we looked at earlier, you're whiffing a lot less. I have to take more risk on offense to get in. And the other game where I won, like I had to run a corner offense to beat you, right? I wasn't winning like that in neutral the same way. So yeah, man. Otherwise, good stuff. I think like you have an idea of some things to work on now overall. And I think like again, if you improve the combos and anti-airs and do don't whiff as often, I think you'll be doing fine. So.
All right, I'm definitely gonna start focusing on run stop combos.
It's worth learning. Yeah, it's worth learning. I was dropping a bunch of them, and like I think the link is a little bit tight off of the crouching medium punch because it's a new combo for Ken, and I haven't really been labbing it as much as I probably should have. But it's good to know that because again, a lot of his like main routes, like bigger damage routes, go through that. So worth learning. Come on. Any other questions or concerns before we wrap up? Comments?
I guess is this VOD gonna be like up?
Yeah. It'll be on the Twitch, and I'm gonna convert it into a YouTube video, and it'll be on my YouTube channel, so you'll be able to review it there as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be up probably sometime tomorrow because I have to convert it and then upload it, and that takes a little time and a whole bit more stuff. But sometime tomorrow, expect to see it, if not tonight.
Okay, bet.
It'll be up though. It'll be up.
And are there gonna be like notes sent to me that you took during this?
No, you'll have to watch the VOD.
Yeah. Okay,
I used to try to do that, and it kind of didn't work in this format because I was like I'm talking to you, right? I'm streaming it, and I'm like writing things down, and it's kind of whatever, and then I have to type it up later. I do give notes if I do replay review though. So if you look at my channel, there's like replay reviews. I'll put notes there, but that's because it's a different format or whatever. But like you'll have everything in the VOD here. Just watch it at 2x speed. I think that's what most people do. Just watch it at 2x speed and then hear me talk. When you hear something interesting, go back to normal speed and then go back. Like it's like an old school college lecture or whatever. So yeah, cool, man. So anything else? Any other questions before we wrap up?
No, that's it.
Cool, man. So appreciate you coming on, man. Again, if you have any questions, I'm active on the Discord like all the time, so you can reach out. So appreciate you coming on. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Sit down and shut up. Appreciate you guys farming your channel points like the Sphere is doing out there. Appreciate it as always. I know when Zany looks at this later, they're gonna hear my kid yelling in the background. So sorry about that, Zany. They don't normally wake up during this time. They just happen to this time. So, but at any rate, appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for your chats, your follows, your likes, your views, subscribes, all that good stuff. Appreciate it. Run this to the Fire Rise Discord. So Fire Rise is a fighting game community focused on fighting games, mostly Street Fighter 6. They run bi-weekly events through their One Fight Stand series. I think they're on a bit of a break now because of CEO and all that. So if that is something interesting to you, take a look at that. Basically, it is a 7-round Swiss tournament. There is an upper and lower pool, so there's usually a cutoff. So that if you're in the middle there, you end up, it's like upper tier, lower tier, or higher MR, lower MR, whatever. Most people are in master, but everyone's invited if they want to play in that. It's again 7-round Swiss, so you get a lot of good matches. Kind of the main event there. They also do community showcase events through their Urge to Fight series. I do commentary for them every once in a while. So Urge to Fight is basically a Fight Rise produced stream, where they showcase some of the players in our community who have been doing well, leveling up, and they get to have their matches in an exhibition commented, and they get to show off their skills and all that stuff. So that's always fun. They also do a charity event every December or in the wintertime. I have played or I've done commentary for them in the past for that, so that's a lot of fun continuing for that. Another thing that they do is Big League KO. Big League KO is BLKO is their league format. So this is basically a format where you get put into an 8-person pool. You play 7 rounds of round robin, first to 5s, and you play 2 matches a week for 4 weeks, right? So you get 7 rounds spread out. It's a lot of fun. It's a good way to get longer sets of people. It's rank separated, so the people in your pool will likely be around your current skill level, depending on how MR and all that stuff. So it's seeded in that way. If you do well during pools, there's a postseason, so you're able to kind of go into a postseason and you're able to play through. And then the championships for the pools are streamed during a UTF event, right? So it's a lot of fun. It's a good way to get longer sets of people that are around your skill level. And it's a good way to do tournament stuff, really. What else? If you like this session or you like something like this and want something for this for yourself, take a look at the Fire Rise Discord under Level Up. There is a channel called Sit Down and Shut Up. You'll be able to sign up for a training session like this. Take a look at the pinned notes. You can get the instructions there on how to sign up. Well, it's part of Newbie Fight Club. Newbie Fight Club is a fighting community focused on getting newer players into fighting games. Again, mostly Street Fighter 6. They do lobby nights every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Wednesdays are their main newbie lobby nights. So if you're new to the game and want to meet other newer players, Wednesday night is the night to play. Friday nights tend to be a little more freeform, a little more open, just play whatever. And then Mondays are usually like a modern Monday. So if you're interested in modern and want to play modern, it's a good time to do it. You don't have to. You're not. It's not obligatory. But if you wanted to try it out and see, that's kind of the theme of the night. They also do events. I think they have a monthly that happens on Sundays. I think there's one happening maybe next week. I'm not sure, but you can take a look at the Discord here and look at the events on both of these to see when events are. And I think they were doing a modern monthly. I don't know if that's still going, but they were doing a modern only tournament as a monthly. So if you were playing modern and want to play other modern folks, that's the way to go. All those events, again, if you take a look at the Discord, just take a look at the calendar, so then you'll be able to see the events. I know CEO is happening right now, so probably not a lot of folks looking at this stuff, but if you are, I appreciate you tuning in. And thanks again, and have a good afternoon. Appreciate you all.